Hi everyone, thank you for signing up for this TÜV-SÜD webinar on IEC 62368-1 second edition versus the third edition. So before we start, here's a quick introduction of the speaker today. We have with us Mr. Michael Hingert, who is the Senior Product Specialist at TÜV-SÜD. Mr. Hingert is a specialist in information equipment, i.e. ergonomics, IT and office equipment, as well as electronics. He has more than 30 years of experience in testing and development of international standards. So with that, I will now hand the presentation over to Mr. Hingert, who will kick off with an introduction on the market overview. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody, wherever you are. The topic today is the upcoming third edition of 62368. So the status is for the time being FDIS. And we have several topics there, an overview, and then we have new topics in the standards like outdoor equipment, large equipment, some updates in optical radiation, wireless power transmitter, and other changes. So let me go to the next slide. So this is the history of this standard. So it starts very long time ago in 1999 as ECMA. Then we have in 2010 the first edition. The problem with the first edition was that it was not implemented in the European countries, for example. So that we come to the second edition in 2014, and this is implemented in many countries now. And then we have some topics in the second edition that need to be updated. So the idea was first that we say, okay, we'd like to have an amendment to the standard, but there are rules in the IEC, oops, so that's the wrong button, sorry. Rules in the IEC that when you have more than 10 pages for a standard as an amendment, then you have to have a new edition, and that was the topic here. And you see all the periods. So the FDIS is out, and we're waiting now. The voting is passed, and we're waiting now for the final standard. Hopefully, it will be maybe in the next 1 or 2 months available on the market. You see here that was the topic, date of circulation, and the standard is approved. So there will be available very soon. Okay, this is the other topic. This second edition is also an EN standard, and there was a long discussion with the EN standard here about the transition period. So the first topic was there that we have a transition period for the EN standard 60065 and 6950-1 until next year, but then was an update by the CENELEC, the standardization group. They updated to the end of December 2020, and now we have official in the European official journal now that the date is the 20th of December 2020 as end of the transition period for 6950-1 and also for 60065 in this case. The other topic is we have still two standards for 950. One is the 22. This is for outdoor equipment, and there is 23 for large data storage equipment. There was a long discussion, what shall we do? Do have also part 2 here for the 62368, but the decision was in this we would like to incorporate both standards into the body of the 62368-1. So that will be happen with the third edition. Some topics which must be clarified here. So we have wordings here in for routine test in the standard 62368, but this is not a routine test for the production. It's only a routine test for parts which are needs quality assessment for setup of the component. And the other topic is modular data center. There was an idea to bring a modular data center in the standard, but after some meetings, the working group came to the conclusion that is not possible, so we have too many difference on the installation requirements that cannot happen, that we have a standard there. The other topic, which is strictly not more or less given in the standard requirements for functional safety, there's only a small part in the work cell, so I'll show you later up. There's only a note, then we make a link to the 61508-1 for all this functional or software safety requirements in this standard. So the next topic is about robotics. So this standard is not for robotics. There are some other standards which deal with this kind of equipment. It's the general 6204-1 for the electrical safety, and also the IEC 10218-1 and 2. And also the personal care robotics are not included there. New topic is that we have a limitation excuse me, for the scope also in the area for battery backup systems. That's not included in this standard. New topic is they bring in the equipment used in tropical regions. This is a point which is coming from the 65, so we have to address these two. And address the topic about the USB or Ethernet, power over Ethernet. There's additional requirements now in the 62-68-3, which deals with such kind of special things. So this is not applicable if we have special connectors and special protocols in this, and it's only if we use the normal USB or power over Ethernet. The other topic was we have to make clear that this standard is only written for the maximum altitude of 2000 meters. If we have products which like to used over this altitude, then we have to check carefully, maybe for additional requirements like different hypo tests, different creepage and clearance systems, and something like this in this area. Okay, then we came to the famous subclause 4.1.1. And the former second edition, there was an information that this paragraph will delete with the third edition. This paragraph deals with use of material and components and sub-assemblies which are already certified or already tested or compliance with the 60065 and also the 6950-1. So with this short transition period between the second and the third edition, there is a little bit problem for, especially for manufacturer, which has to update it there, maybe for example power supply, something like this, in this area, that it will fulfill the requirements to the 6368-1, so that they are changed this topic here from the third edition to the next revision. The problem is a little bit if you go for European countries with the fixed transition period with end of December 2020, so the standards 60065 and 6950-1 will be not longer listed in the official journal as fulfill the requirements for the safety goals of the low voltage directive. In this case, so you cannot bring in the EU products which are compliance only with this standard. So that can be a problem, but I hope that the transition period is long enough now that the manufacturer can have all the products tested or certified in according to 62-68-1. Okay, then we came to the new topic, to moving from part 22, outdoor equipment. So you see here the definitions for this special equipment. So the definitions are more or less the same as before, but they use more now the wording of the new standard. So I think there is nothing new here. And also for the enclosure, something that is all the same as before. The interesting point will be if we came here to this evaluation, so then we have to use the minimum amplitude by minus 33 degrees and up to 40, and we have to check it by inspection evaluation by the data provided by the manufacturer. So some countries maybe have more stringent requirements for the nautics country, for example, but it's in a note. And the topic here is if you have an outdoor equipment and you have a socket outlet on the outdoor equipment, then you have to use inside the equipment and original current protection devices, or LCD, with not exceeding 30 milliamp as the driven current for this. So that's important. Then we have the topics, as you know, we have the three levels. So, for example, for voltage, we have ES1, AS2, AS3. Then we get the problem that in 1650-22 we have only the half of the SALV circuit. So there was a long discussion. So we have maybe an additional ES, maybe ES0 or something like this. But at the end we came back to the approach from 1650-22 that we say, okay, we have for the bare parts of an outdoor equipment cannot exceed more than 0.5 times of the ES1 voltage under normal and abnormal conditions. So that is in line excuse me, with 1650-22 as before. So the topic is why we have this, give you information here. So there are two standard or technical specifications. So this is 6479-1 and also the technical specification 61201. So there's a table there. So we have to consider if we have outdoor equipment that we have, instead of a dry condition that we have normally with our product. So we have a wet condition, and in this wet condition, so the body resistance will be lower, and this is the reason that we have to reduce the voltage for the ES1 by 0.5. Okay, if we go for the large equipment, so this is large equipment installed in restricted areas. So this is for automated information mass storage and retrieval systems. So maybe for tape cartridge, tape cassette, optical disc, or other things will be in the future with similar function and will be large like a 3D printer. We have the same situation here. So there is no change on the requirements of the 23, but to bring it in the language, you see that for the first restrictive access area, it's area accessible only for skilled persons and to instructed persons. So to bring up this former requirements and definitions to the wording which are used in the 62-368. So this is the overview, and I think the more or less the important point is here for such kind of work cells is that we have to deal with MS3 parts, and we have two protection methods. So the method one is we have an interlock, or we have key and tools, and so when we go in there, then we have to use an emergency stop systems. And you see here, this is the only area in which this standard gives some information in the direction to functional safety, a little bit in direction to the 62061 that have a SILF level, and also to the ISO 849-1. But the levels of the performance level and the SILF level is here missing, so we have to maybe update it in the future which levels are appropriate for this emergency stop systems. Optical radiation, so this subclause is reworked more or less totally. You see here, this is an overview of all the possible standards which deal with this radiation. So we have the first part here with lasers. So we have 6825. Then we have the lamps, this is 62471. And very important, we have the image projectors, the beamers here with 825 so far applicable, and 62471-5, which deals only with image projector. So we have X-ray, it's more or less the same, and the new thing here is for the sound. So we have a maximum dose exposure, which is new, was not in as before in this area. If we go a little bit to the image beamers, then we have to check, which kind of light source is included. Is it laser? This is not the case, then we can go directly to the 62471-5, and we have to check is it compliant with the requirements and subtools. If we have laser invert, then we have to go both ways, the way for the laser and for the for the blue light hazard, and came to the conclusion when the product will be okay. And we see here for image projectors with lamps, the quotient statement defined shall be used in the instructional safeguard. So I think the problem was before this radiation was L3, and we cannot use it without some safety instructions for this product here. And this is the topic which solves this. So you see here we have now in a lot of things about instructional safeguards. So we have warning labels for several reasons, and also an explanation of marking instruction to guide of control measures. So this is the topic which deals in the new reworked part 10. Totally new is wireless power transmitter. So the more or less topic with this power transmitter is that we have to check what is the temperature if we have maybe in the field between the charger and like here a handy have metal object, what is the temperature on this. So there are some requirements given there. So there is different objects which has a different thickness, like 2 millimeters, 5 millimeters, and the requirements for the temperature is not more than 7 degrees Celsius. Okay, then we have a lot of other changes. So one change is it's fully insulated wiring. So this is coming from the transformer standardization. So they use this also called zero defect wires in their standard, and this is an update in this direction that we can use these special wires also in our standard. So we have a strong link between the transformer standard and the 62, so 68, is it 68, yes. And so this topic we have to bring both in line that we can use the same winding material. Then there is the topic about liquid and liquid field components. And there is a point about when these are not applied. So that's maybe important. So this requirement and also the test from the Annex G are not applied if we have a liquid filled component that is sealed but open to the atmosphere, so we cannot have a high pressure inside. So components contain a small amount of liquid, so for example, liquid crystal displays, electric capacitors, or cooling pipes for some reason. This is the one topic. And wet cells battery, or the other important point is that the requirement is not applicable for equipment which has more than 1 liter of liquid. For this we have no requirement for the moment, and there is one of the topic which we have to handle now in the standardization for the future. This is also a correction. So in the former time there was only the information about requirements in for lithium coin and bottom cell battery. So this lithium is not longer the limitation. So we have to check all the coin and bottom cell batteries if they are maybe dangerous if people or children are swallow such kind of cells. So we have here the diameter of 32 millimeters, and this is coming more or less from the 71. It is more or less the same requirements from the dimension here. And the other topic which was a little bit updated was about the point that you need 2 independent movements for opening the battery latch, and that gives now a little bit more clear in which we have to test this, so with a minimum torque of 0.5 Newton meters and the movement of 90 degrees. That it's now clarified for this, which is a requirement in this area. This is a topic which is maybe in several parts of the standard, but it was not really clear, so we'll bring it in this area. So the first topic is if we have an ES2 and ES3 circuit, from which we have maybe an accessible ES1-2 circuit, must be separated from ES3 main by double safeguard or reinforced safeguard. So that's the requirement which was defined in the standard, but you have to look for different areas. We'll bring it in now in a prominent part here. And the other topic is if we have single fault condition, we get not higher than ES1 limits, then it's okay, that it's not necessary to have a safeguard in this case. So we are back to the requirements more or less written in the 6950 in this. So 6950 was a little bit special, so we can have this area 0.2 milliseconds, 120 volts. But this is no limit to the ES1, and so that's it's more or less the same requirement as before. Otherwise, then we need for each bridge rectifier must be a safeguard, and that's not possible. Okay, then we came to the topic about limit for repetitive pulses. So the point was that we have find out if we use this table versus the values in 5.2.2.2, then we come to different requirements on different voltages in this area, and so that was the topic that this table is now delete in this standard, and we take the values of the points before. One topic is also the list, the point here for the clearance. There was in the former time a listing temperature over voltage and transient voltage and recurrent peak voltage, and frequencies are generated in the equipment. Now there is a clarification. That means we have to check the recurring peak voltage and the related frequencies. So this is the topic that we have to check carefully. If we have recurrent peak voltage with different frequency, we have to measure all of them and have taken into account if we are check this area for clearances, which is the highest and which has the highest influence on this area. So this is the change here. And there was an idea, so maybe this whole chapter is a little bit complicated to follow all this approach which is coming from the 6664. So there was the idea we can have maybe an annex which describes for defined topic. So over voltage category 2, and we have AC mains not exceeded 420 volts peak, 300 volt RMS. Then we use the table which is very well known from the 6950, and the topic with this table is a little bit in this way, that we have, if we use this table, it's easier. Then you have the value, it's very well known from before. But it can be happen that if you use the other way, which is described, that you have maybe a little bit less requirements for the clearance distance here. So it's maybe if you have enough space and you can use it, and it was the former time in the line to 950, it's easier to handle with this Annex X for this specific area by over voltage category 2 and 420 volt peak or 300 volt RMS. Okay, this is clarification. You see here for the temporary over voltage, there was a topic in that we use 2 times of the nominated voltage plus 1200 volt. That was wrong, so where there's an update here, that's all we have to use the 1 time with a nominated voltage plus 1200. So this is a clarification here. That was a mistake from or transferring this part from 664 to the 62 to 68. There's an updated for all the solid insulation requirements, so that we can use in this case a declaration by the manufacturer based on the material manufacturer's data, or we can use the tables, or we can use the results based on the test and according to 6243-1, and then we are more flexible. So we know that this table inside this standards are old, and maybe we have better materials now, so it gives a little bit more flexibility to use maybe better materials with better results now. This is also a topic, this point coming with the antenna terminal insulation. The point is here that this was transferred from the 65 and it was transferred in the wrong way. So this is the correction. So we have to check between mains and the antenna and between mains and external circuits. And so we have to look carefully what's going on this, but this is now the correct part from the 65, which was wrong here and leads in the second edition to maybe wrong results if you do this. This is a topic about the resistors. So this gives now this table here, table 29, gives you an overview and which of the tests from the Annex G10 is necessary when we use a resistor for different areas. So the point is here reinforced safeguard or bridge reinforced insulation. Then you have to go for the conditioning and the resistor test. And if we take the last one, cap discharge safeguard, then you have to condition and the overload test. So this reduce the number of tests which you have to do with the resistor if you use as a safeguard in this case. And I think the most interesting point is normally the cap discharge as a safeguard here. Functional earthing. So that's the topic. If we have on part 2, class 2 equipment with a functional earthing, how is the marking on it? And if we see here, this is the marking topic. If we have a functional earthing by equipment class 2, then we have the double square with this earth symbol in. If we have class 2 equipment without the functional earth connection, then we have the double square only here. And we cannot use this symbol for a class 1 equipment. And keep in mind that if we are if we have different overvoltage categories, so maybe the air and creepage distance on this kind of appliance inlets can be a problem. So we have to thinking about if we have a touchable metal part by a class 2 equipment with a functional earth, so the functional earth will be must be separated two mains by a double or reinforced safeguard in this case, so it's higher than there are normal use of this when you use the class 1 equipment for the air and creepage distance. The new topic is also here backfeed safeguard for battery backup in the equipment. So excuse me, there is this requirement. I think that was in the UL before, and so it's maybe for the North American well known, but here we have now different topics where we have to check what's going on if the mains is interrupted, and then we have to measure 1 second after this interruption by a applicable type A, 5 seconds by a applicable type B, or 15 seconds for a permanent connected equipment that we came down to the ES1 limits. So this is the requirement for this, and this is new in if we have something. And we have to look for these air gaps in the backfeed safeguard. That's the topic here, and also we have to check which overvoltage category we have in this case. So normally, if we have no other information, and we have the overvoltage category too. Okay, then we came to a topic which was controversially discussed. So we have this fire cone inside of the standard, and also the move of the fire cone. And this requirement is now deleted. It's not longer in the standard. And the other topic is if we go for the side openings, and then we have back the 5-degree requirements from 950. So that's the same you see here. We have also the pictures here, how it's handling this side opening. So this is in line with the former 950 requirements. This was a topic which was long discussed. If we have safeguard against fire due to connection to additional equipment, so normally all the 950 people are thinking directly about CD-ROM, DVD, scanner, mouse. But if we are thinking a little bit in the direction to the 60 or 65, then we came to the power amplifier and the loudspeaker. And there is possible that we have maybe a higher power delivery which is over PS2, and then our loudspeaker, a passive loudspeaker, needs a fire enclosure. And I think this never happened before, so we have all these passive loudspeakers with paper membranes and something like this, that will not work. So this update made clear that this requirement does not apply to audio output of audio amplifiers. So this makes sure that we have no problem with passive loudspeakers on this area. This is a topic if we have maybe moving MS3 parts, but there is a function that we have to go to the equipment, have to adjust something or some other thing by an ordinary person or instructed person. So these things can be happened by blotters or bigger printers that we have to do something, and it was possible by 950 before, but with the requirements in 62 to 68, where it came very quickly to an MS3 hazard. And though there was a way how we can deal with this MS3 hazard of such kind of equipment. Moving parts shall be obvious when exposed, so moving parts shall be guarded as much as practicable. Safety instruction, it must be given, and manual activating stopping device shall clearly visible on this equipment. In this case, we can accept such kind of moving MS3 parts in a bigger equipment. The topic here is about the stability requirements. So you see here red marked fixed equipment. So fixed equipment, it's now also in the definition given. It's only to make clear if we have things which has to fixed by as a fixed equipment by skilled person and between ordinary persons, so that it's an update on this area here. Then we have all these racks with slide rails, and so that the pop point was there. So we have closed function, and we bring out completely the slide rails, but there is also a position which sometimes called service position, which is between pull in and pull out, and so there was no requirements for this position. So this is an update in these areas that we have here, requirements for this service position. And also we have an instruction safeguard which gives information when we use this service position. This is a topic if we have some hot parts that may be accessible, and there are over TS2 or TS3, and we have this kind of products if we are talking about a laminator or some print, terminal print head and so on. And we have also the part here that we are maybe have accept some temperatures before by some products, but this is not possible if we go to the second edition. This is the way out. This part does not need to be touched, or to operate equipment must be given. It's unlikely that an ordinary person can touch it under normal conditions, so there's an unintentional contact on the part by ordinary persons. We need an instructional safeguard, and very important, it's unlikely that the parts will be touched by children in this case. This is the topic about measurement of touch current. So there is a change here that we can measure that by a temperature from 25 degrees plus minus 5 degrees, but we have to come back to the result that we adjusted for 25 degrees there. And if we go to the table, we have a new accessible part here for a device worn on the body, so in direct contact with the skin, and we make a distinguish between for very long term contact, that means 8 hours or more, then we have to go for a temperature not higher than 43 degrees Celsius. If we are by shorter temperature times, then we can go up to 48. So this is described now in this table for such kind of temperatures by devices which are worn on the body.
Thank you, Mr. Hingert, for addressing all the questions today. So for the audience, we hope that you found this session interesting and relevant. So we have very similar webinars in the pipeline, so we encourage you to sign up to our newsletter or visit our website at www.tusu.com/CPES. So there you'll get the latest news, regulatory updates, and more. If you have any specific questions about this webinar or this topic, you can also email us at cps@tusu.com, and we'll route that through to Mr. Hingert as well. Thank you for your time, and have a good rest of the day.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.